Have you ever felt, in the midst of this frantic modern world, a strange and profound sense of dislocation, as if you have been mistakenly born into an age that is not your own? The constant glare of screens, the shallow chatter, the collective rush toward a future that feels hollow. You may dismiss this feeling as mere melancholy, a personal failing to adapt. But what if it is not? What if this persistent, quiet ache in your soul is, in fact, a memory of a different rhythm, a deeper resonance, echoing from a place within you that is far older than your years? You see, the psyche is not bound by the linear time of the clock. Beneath the personal history you call your own, there lies a more ancient stratum, what I have called the collective unconscious. And from these depths, certain individuals carry forth an echo that does not fit neatly into the present moment. They are the old souls, and their discomfort is not a sickness, but a sign that they remember something the world has desperately tried to forget. If you find yourself looking at the world from a place of quiet solitude, feeling like a stranger in a familiar land, it is not you who is broken. It is the world that has grown young and forgetful. And so, let us explore this inner landscape together. Let us look for the signs not as a diagnosis, but as a confirmation of a truth you have always carried, like a forgotten language whispered just beneath the noise of your thoughts. There is a feeling that visits you, is it not? In the quiet, unguarded moments between the days, demands a feeling that does not have a name in our modern lexicon. It is not quite sadness, though it carries its weight. It is not nostalgia, for it yearns for an era you never knew with your own flesh, a time you could not have witnessed. It is an echo without a source, a homesickness for a home that exists nowhere on any map. This, what we might call an unspoken melancholy for ages you never lived, is not a disorder of the mind. It is, I propose, the first and most profound whisper of the old soul within you, stirring from its slumber in the depths of the collective psyche. You must understand that the psyche is not confined to the narrow cell of your individual biography. It is a vast and ancient vessel, and within its hull lie sediments laid down not just by your personal experiences, but by the entire human family. What you perceive as your singular life is but the latest chapter in a story that began millennia ago. And so, when you feel a sudden, piercing longing while listening to a fragment of forgotten music, or when the sight of a certain quality of light through autumn leaves strikes a chord of inexplicable loss and recognition, you are not merely being fanciful. You are brushing against a memory that is not yours personally, but is yours to inherit. You are feeling the tide of a time that has receded from the world's shore, yet still washes against your inner world. That this melancholy then is a signature of your depth. In a world that prizes the immediate, the tangible, the loudly proclaimed, you are connected to the silent, the enduring, and the subtle. The contemporary world shouts its anxieties and its ephemeral joys, but you are attuned to a different frequency, one that carries the quieter, more solemn truths of ages past. This is why the frantic pace of modern life can feel so deeply alienating. It is not that you cannot keep up. It is that a part of you refuses to, recognizing it as forgetting, a neglect of something essential. The old soul feels a profound responsibility to this forgotten heritage, a duty to remember what is no longer visible. This feeling is your confirmation. It is the evidence that you are not a blank slate born into a vacuum, but a rich, complex tapestry woven with threads you did not choose, but which are inherently yours. Do not seek to cure this melancholy, To erase it would be to sever a vital connection to the very roots of your being. Instead, you must learn to sit with it, to listen to its quiet intelligence. For in its ache lies a guidance. It points you toward what truly matters, toward beauty that is not fleeting, toward truth that is not temporary, toward a sense of meaning that is not manufactured by the hour. This melancholy is the compass needle, trembling, always pointing you toward your own true north, which exists across time. It is the ancient within you, recognizing its own echo in the silence dot. And so, if this melancholy is the whisper, then what is the response? How does the old soul, burdened by this beautiful inheritance, converse with it? We arrive at the second indicator, a dialogue with the depths, when the world skims the surface. For it is a law of the psyche that what resides within does not wish to remain silent. It seeks expression. It demands engagement. While the contemporary spirit is consumed with the endless scroll of novelty, with the frantic curation of an external life, you may find yourself turning inward, not as an escape, but as a necessity, as the only place where a real conversation can begin. You see, the modern world is built upon the literal. It values the headline, the data point, the immediate transaction. It is a world of surfaces, and for many this is enough. But for you, it is a prison. You look at a tree and you see not merely a biological organism, but the archetype of the tree, its strength, its rootedness, its silent yearning for the sky. You hear a story and you are less concerned with the plot than with the symbols that shimmer beneath it, the ancient patterns playing out once again in a new costume. This is not an intellectual exercise. It is a native language. You are, whether you are conscious of it or not, perpetually engaged in a process of active imagination, of seeking the mythic and the symbolic in the raw material of your daily life. This is your dialogue with the depths. When the world shouts for your attention on the outside, you feel a stronger, more compelling pull from within. A dream does not feel like a random neurological event, but a personal missive from a hidden part of yourself requiring interpretation. A piece of art or music is not merely entertainment. It is a potential key that might unlock a chamber in your own soul. This inner orientation is why you can feel so profoundly alone in a crowd. It is not that you dislike people, but that the conversations often remain on the surface, discussing the what and the how, while your soul is aching to discuss the why and the who we are beneath all the roles we play and why we are here at all. This dialogue is the necessary work. It is the way the old soul metabolizes the timeless material that flows into it. The world skims the surface because it is afraid of the dark, silent, and seemingly bottomless water beneath. But you are drawn to it. You sense that this depth is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the source of all meaning, the wellspring from which all great art, all profound philosophy, and all genuine love has ever emerged. To engage with it is not a passive act of remembrance, but an active, creative act of translation, of bringing the wisdom of the depths to bear on the problems of the day. This is not a choice you have made, but a destiny you are fulfilling, and this relentless turning inward, this dialogue with the depths, necessarily alters your perception of the outer world. It renders you acutely, at times painfully, sensitive to the quality of the light by which modern life is illuminated. This brings us to the third indicator, the unbearable brightness of superficial light. You see, not all light is the same. There is the gentle, nourishing light of the sun, which allows for growth and reveals form with patience. And then there is the harsh, artificial glare of the fluorescent bulb, a light that bleaches out all shadow, that flattens everything it touches, and leaves no room for mystery. The modern world is bathed in this latter light, and for the old soul, it can be a form of constant psychic assault. This brightness is not merely visual, it is a metaphor for the entire texture of contemporary consciousness. It is the brightness of the curated persona on the social stage, a performance of happiness and success that admits no darkness, no struggle, no ambiguity. It is the blinding speed of information that replaces deep knowledge, a torrent of facts that have no roots in lived experience. It is the cheerful, empty optimism that refuses to acknowledge the reality of suffering, of tragedy, of the shadow that is an integral part of the whole. This light does not illuminate, it obscures, it drowns out the subtle, nuanced hues of the soul in a monochrome of frantic positivity. You feel this, do you not? A sense of exhaustion that comes not from hard work, but from the constant exposure to this abrasive, superficial glare. It is why you may crave silence after too much time in a crowd, or why you find the muted palette of a misty morning or the soft glow of candlelight feels like a balm to your nerves. This is not antisocial behavior. It is a necessary act of self-preservation. Your psyche, attuned to the rich tapestry of symbols and the delicate interplay of light and shadow within, is starved by this external world that insists on only one note, played at a deafening volume dot. This unbearable brightness is so taxing because you perceive the lie within it. You see the anxiety hidden beneath the curated smile. You hear the echo of emptiness in the viral slogan. You feel the collective shadow, all that is repressed and denied, gathering strength just beneath this brightly lit surface. And you know that a light which casts no shadow is a light that reveals nothing real. The old soul cannot find comfort in this illusion, for their very nature compels them toward wholeness, and wholeness demands that we acknowledge both the light and the dark dot. Thus, your retreat from this glare is not a weakness, but a testament to your deeper vision. You are seeking the richer, more authentic light that can only be found in the depths, the asterisk lumen naturae asterisk, the light of nature, which reveals itself slowly in dreams, in solitude, and in the patient observation of the soul's own processes. It is the necessary protection of sensibility that perceives too much dot, and so protected by this necessary retreat. You begin to notice a different rhythm governing your inner world, a rhythm that stands in stark opposition to the frantic, linear pulse of the modern age. This is the fourth indicator, an ancient clock ticking in a modern heart. It is the profound and disorienting sense of living in two times at once. There is the chronological time of appointments, deadlines, and the relentless march of the calendar, and then there is this other time, a vast, cyclical, and patient time that flows within you, indifferent to the hurry of the world. This ancient clock is the timer of the soul. It cannot be rushed. Its hands are moved not by gears and springs, but by the slow, deliberate processes of growth and understanding. Where the world demands instant results and immediate reactions, this inner chronometer measures in seasons of the psyche. It understands that a profound insight must gestate in darkness before it can be born into the light. It knows that healing from a wound of the spirit cannot be scheduled. It has its own organic timeline. This is why you may feel out of step, why you cannot force your own development to match the expectations of others. You are operating on a different time scale, one that is archetypal and deeply natural. You experience this, perhaps, as a kind of creative patience that others find baffling. While the culture celebrates the flash of sudden fame and the viral moment, you are drawn to the mastery that takes a lifetime, the relationship that deepens over decades, the idea that requires years of quiet incubation. The modern world shouts that you are falling behind, but the ancient clock within whispers that you are precisely on time for a different, more meaningful journey. This creates a fundamental tension, a dissonance that is the source of both your profound strength and your feeling of alienation. For this inner clock is calibrated to the great patterns of life, death, and renewal patterns that our modern world, in its hubris, seeks to deny. It ticks to the rhythm of the mythic cycle, not the quarterly report. It measures the time required for the acorn to become the oak, not for the stock to peak. When you feel a deep, inexplicable peace in witnessing the turning of the seasons, or a sense of rightness when you allow a difficult feeling to simply be until it transforms on its own, you are listening to this ancient timer. You are trusting a wisdom that far predates the invention of the second-hand dot. This is the timeless pulse at the center of your being, the rhythm of the self dot, and this ancient rhythm, this patient ticking at the core of your being, brings with it a responsibility, a weight that is both your curse and your sacred purpose. We come now to the fifth indicator, the burden of remembering what the world has forgotten. It is a peculiar and isolating gravity you carry, a sense of knowing something essential that has slipped from the collective memory, a truth that has become ghostly, whispering just beyond the hearing of the bustling crowd. This is not an intellectual knowledge, not a list of facts you have learned. It is a knowing in the bones, in the blood. It is the memory of silence, the memory of a connection to the natural world that was not transactional, but relational. The memory of rituals that gave meaning to passage and pain, of stories that were not mere entertainment, but maps of the soul. The modern world, in its proud progression, has systematically discarded these things, labeling them superstition, inefficiency, or irrelevance. And you are left feeling like the sole guardian of a sacred, abandoned archive, watching the world burn the very books that contain the instructions for its own salvation. You feel this burden in your profound unease with the culture of disposability, not just of objects, but of ideas, of relationships, of truths. You see the fragmentation, the loss of the center, and you feel a quiet, persistent anguish because you remember, in some indefinable way, what wholeness looks like. This is why you may find yourself drawn to ancient wisdom, to old crafts, to the slow, deliberate ways of being that the world has left behind. You are not being nostalgic. You are instinctively trying to reassemble the shattered pieces of a lost unity, driven by a memory you cannot name. This burden manifests as a form of grief, a mourning for a world that still exists, but only in the collective unconscious and in the hearts of those like you who remember. It is the source of that profound sigh that escapes you when you witness another ancient woodland felled for a development, or when you see human interaction reduced to digital transactions. You are grieving not for the past, but for a timeless potential that is being actively erased from the present. Not yet. You must understand, this burden is also your unique destiny. It is the weight of the archetype of the guardian, the one who keeps the flame alive in the long cultural night. This remembering is not a passive state, it is an active, moral imperative. It compels you to live differently, to speak for the values that have been silenced, to embody the depth that has been flattened. You are the counterweight to the collective amnesia. It is the price of your connection to the eternal dot, and so bearing this lonely weight of remembrance, a profound question inevitably arises within you. Where are the others? If you carry this memory, this ancient rhythm, surely you cannot be alone. And indeed, you are not. This brings us to the sixth indicator, finding your tribe in ghosts and legends. For the old soul, kinship is not merely a matter of geographical proximity or shared contemporary interests. It is a recognition of a shared frequency, a resonance that echoes across time and space, often found not in the living, but in the voices that have been silenced for centuries. You have felt this, have you not? A sudden, startling sense of familiarity, of coming home, when you read a line of poetry penned in a long-dead language, when you lose yourself in the brushstrokes of a master who worked by candlelight, or when you hear a fragment of melody that seems to articulate a sorrow or a joy you believed was yours alone. In these moments, you are not merely appreciating art, you are encountering a member of your tribe. These creators, these thinkers, these souls who also wrestled with the eternal questions, they are your companions. Your community is assembled across the centuries in the library of the human spirit, and your conversations with them are as real and as nourishing as any spoken dialogue. This is why you can feel so deeply isolated in a room full of people and yet so profoundly connected while sitting alone with a book. The old soul does not seek a tribe of the present moment, but a tribe of the timeless. You find your kindred spirits in the myths of Orpheus and Inanna, who journeyed into the underworld of the soul long before you. You find understanding in the philosophical struggles of a Roman emperor, the spiritual longing of a medieval mystic, or the creative torment of a romantic poet. They are the ghosts who walk beside you, and their legacies are the legends that give form to your own unnamed experiences. This is not an escape from reality, but a descent into a richer, more true reality. It is an active participation in what I have called the collective unconscious. When you feel a bond with a figure from history or a character from a profound story, you are not imagining it. You are connecting to a living archetype that they embodied and that you too carry within you. You are recognizing a shared piece of the human puzzle. Your tribe is not defined by blood or border, but by a shared orientation toward the depths, a common allegiance to the forgotten truths. They are the companions who walk with you in the landscape of the soul dot. And so we arrive at the final and perhaps most essential understanding, even amidst this timeless tribe, even in the company of ghosts and the solace of deep remembrance, a fundamental solitude remains. This is not the loneliness of abandonment, but something far more profound, the sacred loneliness of the timeless. It is the inevitable and necessary atmosphere in which the old soul must finally undertake its ultimate work. For all the connections across centuries, the journey into the self is one that no other, living or dead, can walk for you. You see, this loneliness is the clear, cold air at the mountain peak of consciousness. It is the price of seeing what others do not, of feeling the weight of ages they cannot perceive. It is the solitude of the vessel that has been chosen to carry a meaning too vast for ordinary containers. The persona, the mask you wear in the world, cannot adhere here. It falls away, leaving the raw, authentic self exposed before the universe. This can be terrifying, for it is a death of the superficial identity. Yet, within this very terror lies the seed of liberation. This sacred loneliness is not a void to be filled, but a space to be honored. It is the inner temple, the asterisk temenos asterisk, where the dialogue with the self reaches its crescendo. In the outer world, you may walk among others, you may laugh and love and labor, and yet a part of you remains forever in this temple, tending a flame that is yours alone to keep. This is not a failure of relationship, but its foundation. For only from this deep, unassailable ground of one's own being a genuine connection with another truly spring, you cannot meet another deeply if you have not first met yourself in this profound solitude. Do not misunderstand me. This is not a call to asceticism or misanthropy. It is an invitation to reframe this experience from a curse into a vocation. This loneliness is the crucible in which the lead of the personal psyche is alchemically transformed into the gold of the self. It is where you integrate the melancholy, the depth, the ancient rhythm, and the burden of remembrance into a single, indestructible diamond of meaning. It is the quiet space where you become who you were always meant to be, beyond the noise of any collective, ancient or modern dot. It is the final signature of a consciousness that has touched the eternal dot. And so we arrive at the great turning point. You see, now that this burden you carry is not a weakness, but a hidden strength. This loneliness is not an isolation, but a sanctuary. This ancient rhythm in your heart is not a relic, but a compass. You have been given the eyes to see the void, and thus you are the only one who can fill it with meaning. You are not a relic of a forgotten age. You are its secret guardian, its active, living seed, planted in the soil of this present moment to grow a forest for a future you may never see, but that your soul already knows. Do not seek to escape this identity. Do not try to dim your light to match the superficial glare. The world does not need more well-adjusted ghosts. It needs you, your depth, your remembrance, your sacred, untamable solitude. It needs you to be the still point in the turning world, the one who remembers the song when everyone else has forgotten the tune. So go forward from this place, not with arrogance, but with the quiet, unshakable authority of one who has conversed with the depths. Let them call you strange. Let them call you an old soul. Wear it not as a label, but as a crown. Your calling is clear. Now, your task is to live it, to breathe the timeless into the temporary, to be the conversation the world is no longer having with itself. You are the bridge. Walk across it with courage. Go forth, then, and remember who you are. The world has waited long enough. Good luck on your journey home. Thank you.